the music, or more accurately, the soundtrack of The Exorcist, created from all these different elements and composers, was quiet, dissonant, occasionally piercing, always suspenseful, and intense. It was not meant as a comfort level for the audience, but like a cold hand on the back of the neck. Hey everybody, Matt here back again, and today I'm going to be doing a review of a new album I just got. Well, not new, but a new record I got called, The Exorcist Reissue by Waxwork Records. I've been looking forward to this for a very, very long time. I actually wanted to get this before Christmas, but I had to wait on it, so it has been worth the wait. I just gave it a full listen to probably about 2 hours or so ago. And I gotta say, it's an incredible piece of music. I am a huge fan of The Exorcist. It's my favorite book. It's very quickly becoming one of my favorite films. It seems like every time I watch it, I catch something different. The way the camera moves, the way music is used, the way special effects are used. It's an incredible film. I really do enjoy it as a film because it's a great character piece. Number one, I think when people think of The Exorcist, they automatically think of like all the gross out stuff and all the shocking stuff which is in there, which obviously is one element of many. But it's a great character piece. I mean, if you didn't care about the characters, if you weren't invested in them, you wouldn't stick through the end of that movie. And it's just a powerful piece about faith and family and how far we're willing to go for the people we love, and what you believe and what you're willing to believe. I've read through the original book once, and I'm working on the 40th anniversary version now, and it still has a power. It still has that. Just like William Friedkin said in these liner notes, which I'll get to in a minute. It's just, it's a cold hand on the back of your neck. There's really no other way to describe it. It's absolutely beautiful. But to the record itself, this was a reissue done by Waxwork Records, a wonderful website. They do a lot of great horror and sci-fi and video game reissues. And when I heard they were doing this, I was so excited because, unless you get tubular bells, you don't get the soundtrack. You can't really find it, which is kind of sad, because the music used in it is so deathly eerie and creepy, and it's just the perfect record for a cold Halloween night. Even in February, it still works. But the art of this, the idea that they didn't go with the arrival of Marin for the cover, or the face of Reagan. I think it's so cool that they did this image, which I love this in the film. That's such a creepy moment. And so unearthly when it happens. It's just really frightening. Let's go ahead and just start with the packaging. It's a very nice cover, very thick cardboard that they used for this. The back is really cool too, kind of one of those final images there. I love that shot too, where you just see the bottle of holy water on the floor and everything's kind of coming together. It's like, oh my god, Marin's dead. Spoiler alert. Yeah, the packaging on this is fantastic. One reason I bought this record I hate to say is because of the artwork, but I mean, this gatefold is so haunting and so creepy. I have to get this framed. I have to. I mean, I love this packaging, but this is just an incredibly creepy, frightening piece that sums up the film, the book, the story so well. It's just an incredible work of art. Included with that, you also get the liner notes done by William Friedkin, the director of the film. He gives a very in-depth take on the construction of the music for the film, and how he talks about how the music that we hear as audience members in the film was there as like a working thing. That wasn't the music that was intended. It was the music he was listening to get him in the mood of directing these scenes and how he saw them playing out. And he wanted an original soundtrack. He was very much for that. He went to the guy who created a lot of the music for Alfred Hitchcock, and the guy was very dismissive, and he was a little taken aback by that, so they passed on him. And he also talks about the guy who did the guy who did the music for the quote unquote never before seen trailer. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. You just do a search for Exorcist first trailer, and it's just flashing images with the music that they were going to use in the film, which is actually pretty close to what they used. But there's a story that Friedkin, when he heard those tapes, he heard about 6 minutes worth of it. He just took all the tapes and he threw them into the Warner Brothers lot, which is pretty, as far as, I guess a review of your music. How bad was it? Well, I took it and I threw it in the street. It's pretty bad. Yeah, and how he talks about how he was searching for a theme to go with the film, and he came across Tubular Bells, and it just fit, and it was perfect. It was as he put it, the icing on the cake for his film, and I don't think anybody could disagree with that. That haunting theme of those chimes and the bells, I mean, it's so accurate as to what it is. It's tubular bells, and it's just so frightening and so eerie. And I've heard it played, on guitar. I've heard it played by a symphony, and just nothing compares to hearing it in the film, and it just absolutely bone-chilling when you hear it for the first time. And every time after that, it just takes you back to that moment of when you first encountered this horrific story. It's so frightening. Getting back to the packaging here, the liner notes, I'm actually happy that they included them as a separate piece here, because it would have destroyed that wonderful gatefold artwork, but it includes very cool sketches here of Marin and Karis, the two priests in the movie. Very cool, very well done. And then the rosary on the front, and then on the back you have these liner notes, and oh, who's looking at you there? It's Spooky Pazuzu staring a hole on you. It's just so well done and so simplistic, just the black with the white, and bellissima, so good. But the record is really cool too. They introduced two versions of this. They had this one, which was on white, and then they had another one which was which was blue. This is the White Smoke version of it. Get this out for you here. I mean, beautiful. So cool. And then on the back you have another Pazuzu face staring a hole in you. This is just, the packaging on this is so simplistic and so cool. And I think it's great because, a lot of reissues, they try to do, I think, too much with their packaging. And this is just cool to see somebody just like, it's about the music, it's about the story, enjoy it. Now, the music itself, like I said, I gave it to a listen to a couple hours ago. Like I said, I'm a big fan of The Exorcist, and I was familiar with the Tubular Bells theme, as I think a lot of people are, but I wasn't familiar so much with the other pieces that were used. And when we see it in the film, or rather when we hear it in the film, it's used like in between scenes and very brief, stabbing moments, to interject that fear. Like, for example, when they see "Help Me" written on Reagan's stomach, it's typically used there. In those kind of moments, and on this record they include the full pieces, and I gotta say, it's exactly what Friedkin says in the liner notes. It's a cold hand on your neck. You feel genuinely unsettled when you listen to this music. I think of the three, the film, the book, and the music is flat out terrifying, because your mind just goes to these places. That's one of the beauties of music, is that when you hear a piece, specifically an orchestral piece, your mind creates these images, and it's almost like getting to see in the mind of Reagan in those moments of the fear that she's dealing with. It goes into more detail in the books, but she talks about how the character of Captain Howdy is following her around the house, and how he's being mean, and he's saying things to her, and he's trying to kill her, and I almost feel like that's what this music is. It's what she is experiencing in this. The music itself is almost like sitting through the most terrifying opera you've ever heard, or I guess terrifying symphonic piece in this case. It's like Friedkin said, it's not there to comfort the audience, which, a lot of film scores, they are there to do that. They are there to set that mood of comfort. It's almost like the back of a chair. You can lean up against it and it's there. This is you lean back and you fall into the abyss of the unknown. But my God, I mean, this is a wonderful remastering of this music. And just, there were moments where I had to turn up my stereo so high so I could hear the music, because it was so subtle and just so little, and the whispers in the dark, and then boom, it would hit you with these kind of spooky moments, and it was great. It was fantastic. Now that said, I would really only recommend this soundtrack for really fans like myself of The Exorcist. If you're just kind of a casual horror fan, you know, and somebody that doesn't collect film soundtracks or vinyl, I would say almost skip it. Especially for the asking price. This was about $30 or so. But to me, it wasn't just I'm getting a record. I'm also getting, you know, this art piece here. You know, one, I'm very happy I made the investment on this because this is just an incredible piece of music. And one that I'm happy that they did just the film score. You know, Warner Brothers, I think I was reading, did a reissue of the soundtrack on CD that included the unused music that, according to urban legend, was later reused in the Amityville Horror. But it's just such a cool thing that it's just the movie music. You know, they didn't try to throw in any extras. They didn't try to throw in dialogue from the film. It is the music and the music alone. And it speaks so much for it that the music alone is terrifying. The music alone has a power to it. You know, when the film came out, a lot of people were terrified, you know, and rightfully so. But there were people that felt that the film itself had a power to it, that it had this demonic presence, that it was unsettling. You know, I have to say I totally agree with that about the music. I think the music is just frightening as all get out. You know, it's really, really creepy. But yeah, if you're not a big fan of The Exorcist, then I would say definitely skip it. But if you're a fan of either the new series or the book or the movie or whatever, you gotta have it. It's incredible. Or if you're a film score collector, because this is something that we haven't really gotten a proper edition of. You know, the music has kind of been scattered all over the place. So it's very nice to have this in a one piece here. And it's definitely one, you know, artistically, musically, it's just fantastic. I highly recommend this for any Exorcist fan that you may be or that you may have in your life. Perfect, perfect gift there for them. But yeah, and you know, it's really hard for me to justify getting film scores. You know, I've got Star Wars and, you know, the 007 scores back here, because, you know, when it comes to film scores, they have to be iconic to me. They have to be, you know, able to be listened to on their own, that they don't need the film to work. And that is definitely the case with the Exorcist soundtrack. It almost feels like a new Exorcist experience, which is, of course, always welcome, you know, for me. But yeah, definitely a very cool piece. I applaud Waxwork for the work they did here. It was really, really well done. So that's all I have to say about the reissue of the Exorcist soundtrack on vinyl. I will see you guys next time.